Hi everyone, this is Alex with On Point Leather. Today I wanted to do a tool review. So I have always used these punches. They are the Craft Tool Tandy tools, just a little mini punch set. And I recently upgraded to Roke, I believe is how it's pronounced. It's a tool company, tool brand. I bought these from Rocky Mountain Leather Supply. They were, I have the receipt right here, $239.99, 240 bucks. Pretty expensive considering I think when I bought these 11 years ago, they were probably around 10 to $20. I can't imagine I paid much more for it than those. These tools were always fine. They always worked for me. They were never great. They put round circular holes in the leather, which is what I asked them to do, but they struggled in certain areas. They weren't a great tool, and everyone always told me that they had those for a couple months and then they broke on them. I don't know if I got a good set or if I was just nicer to my tools than they were, but these have lasted me 11 years. They were not broken when I upgraded. They did not cease working. They've always worked exactly how they always have, but I just wanted to upgrade, so I did, and I've never used these before, so we're going to take a look at them. I'm going to give you some initial thoughts, punch some holes in leather, and tell you what I think. So these were the tools I was originally using. This is what I've always used. It's this mini punch set by Tandy Leather Factory. Again, it's lasted me 11, almost 12 years now, and has worked just fine. It still has, this is what it came with. It came with 6 little punches. This little post that you take out a punch and screw in, and it came with this little tiny wrench that I still have. And like I say, it worked. It didn't work great. It was not a pleasure to use by any means. And so I'm hoping that these will be different. So this is what I got instead. This is the Roke punch set. Oh, let's see. It comes with 12. Looks like 12 to me. Different size punches. They're in millimeters. The largest is 13 millimeters. All the way down to 1.5, I believe. Yep, 1.5 millimeters on the smallest punch. Goes up to 3 for your next largest, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way up to 13. The way that they screw in is just like the Tandy ones. That's one thing on the website that I couldn't tell, is how they were actually mounted into this post. They just screw in. The threads feel fine. Little gritty, but they're also brand new. So I don't know if that's going to go away or not. That's what it looks like when they're put together. There is no flat surface on these round punches. So if you want to put it on there and then tighten it down, you cannot do that with a little wrench the way that those other punches could. I don't know if that's necessary. They feel pretty secure when they're on there, but just something to be aware of. So for $240 you get 12 hole punches and this metal handle, this wooden little case. I don't have any idea what this is supposed to be for. It doesn't specify. It's just an empty slot. Maybe if I add to this punch set, I didn't see any additional sizes that I could get. This has some decent weight to it. The Tandy one feels very light in comparison to this. We can focus on this right here. It's got a little signature etched in there. It feels good. It's well finished. It feels like a quality piece of equipment. I certainly didn't buy it and think when it showed up, I didn't think it was garbage by any means. Let's see how it punches leather. So if you can't see it, there is a little punch board right here. Always use a soft punching board when using a sharp tool. You don't want to put your cutting surface right onto a piece of granite and hammer through. That's going to hurt it. And also, little pro tip here, if you are using an awl, something like this, to poke your holes in leather, if you are going to be stitching and using an awl, and you're going to punch through your leather into a little mat like this, then put something hard underneath of it. Something like this. This has one of the white cutting boards glued down to a punch mat. And so that way I don't punch through my mat and into the granite, defeating the purpose of the mat. And real quick, because I forgot to mention them, this is another set that I bought. I bought this from Springfield Leather Company. This was just a larger set when this, so the largest this goes up to is 11/64. That was the largest hole punch that I could punch with this set. And then I bought this set also. And that was just to expand the size of holes I could punch. And the smallest of this set was, I believe, a 1/4 inch. Yep, 1/4 inch. It'll focus on there. Has China proudly stamped right on it. Feels like what you would expect. This set was not expensive at all. It was suspiciously inexpensive. And it went all the way up, I think, to a 1/2 inch. Yep, this one's a 1/2 inch. I had to polish the edges here, but I couldn't get into the center. I couldn't get into the center of the punch and do any type of sharpening there. At least I didn't know how to. And I just noticed that there's a bend on this. I don't know how that happened or when. But this set wasn't great. Again, it punched holes in leather with a lot of force. So we'll see if this set here is better or just looks nicer. This is a piece of about 4 or 5 ounce oil tan. I was just kind of start with the biggest one here. The biggest one here is 13 millimeters, like I mentioned. Well, punched a hole. Felt sharp. These are remarkably more sharp out of the box than the other two kits that I've mentioned. They have a polished look to them. I can see myself in the edge of this, so it may not be a perfect mirror polish, but there's definitely been some care put into these. It's a very short taper, so with this cutting surface there is a slight taper and then straight walled all the way up, which is helpful. When it comes to punching through thick leathers, you don't want a big taper coming out because it's only going to, the deeper you go, the harder it's going to be to punch into leather. So it's nice. Just punches right through it. Nice hole. And just for comparison, let's try one of the other ones I'm used to using. So a good comparison size is the 7/16. That seems to be the closest match to the 13 millimeters. I have polished this. If you can see, more of a taper. There's more of a taper. The taper goes all the way through. Just continues to taper out until you get basically to the exit hole for the material here. really about the same. About the same amount of effort. So if you have a tool like this and it's working for you, there's not a need to upgrade. It's not something to where if you're using a $10 set and you've taken some time, because you will have to take time to polish these edges. You can't use these effectively without that. But if you take some time, polish the steel, then you can use these. The machining on them is terrible. It's just absolutely terrible. But tool marks like crazy. I don't even know if I want to call them tool marks. It's like tool gouges. And then if it'll focus here around the edge here, it's just huge amounts of tool marks on that edge. And all of those things, especially on this edge, you feel that when you're cutting through. This is a soft piece of leather. You feel that when you're cutting through thick veg tan or anything like that. That definitely is noticeable. And then when it comes to extracting the punch, things like this only help stick the punch into leather. A nice smooth surface slides right out. So these are nicer. What are they? This is 10 times the price or more, maybe 10.5 times the price. I don't know if it's 10.5 times better. Like anything, there's a curve of diminishing returns, and this is part of that. This is a luxury purchase. One of those things where you buy it, you don't necessarily need it, but if you can afford it and you enjoy it, then why not? It's the smallest. Just slides right through it. Just a little tiny hole. Basically something that you'd use to stitch with if you stitched with holes. You could use this thing for that. The size is 1.5 millimeters. With these ones, you're going to want to be careful punching through a mat like this. You're going to want to back it with a hard cutting board like what I showed you a little bit ago, because with these sharper, smaller holes, you'll go right through one of these and then wreck your cutting tool on a piece of granite or whatever hard surface you're using. I think that sums it up. I'm not going to return it. I'm glad I have it. I've always wanted to upgrade these. Every time I pull out the punch set and punch belt holes or anything like that, I always wish that I had a better set of tools, and I have always just punched my holes and gone about my day, and it's been fine. These punch sets have worked for me. Other people have always told me that the punch sets broke on them very shortly, so if you do have one of these, or if you're thinking you're going to save some money and go buy this over this, I'm not going to discourage you from that. Just know that you may replace this a few times. And you can replace this maybe 20 times before you can buy one of these. But initial impressions are that this is a nice punch set. I don't see that this needs to be upgraded from here. I think this is the final purchase as far as hole punches go in this size. If they have bigger sizes, I'll probably buy some of those just because they'll match the set, and you never know if you need to punch a bigger hole than what you have, so might as well have it available. I think that concludes the review. Amy Roke punch set, Rocky Mountain Leather Supply. I like it.